The spirit, it showed me something. Something forbidden.
Hey guys, so I want to make a full build guide for my version of the Lightning Spear Amazon. This build is absolutely insane, as you can see from the clips. This does screen wide clears similar to that of 0.1 Heralds. It is by far the best clear speed build of 0.2, and this is not even a fully min-max version. We can definitely make this way faster, maybe down the line to like Arena Force and stuff. But yeah, I want to make a full video guide about this build, everything you need to know about it. But keep in mind, I also do have a full mobility links down below as well. Here I have the starter version, mid-game, and ES Evasion Hybrid, more expensive setup, but a lot more tanky. So yeah, I want to go over my version here. So this version, as you can see here, level 93, 2.6k ES, 1.5k lace, 78% evasion with 35% block. So this build is pretty tanky, especially for an evasion-based character. I went for the evasion ES in the end game because it makes you a lot more tanky. Essentially, 4k life right here, right? With extremely good avoidance, because you have both evasion and block chance. So yeah, but just to quickly say, I will keep this mobility links updated as well, so do check this out. If you do have some questions, I might add it to here later on if I didn't add everything onto here. But I do have a lot of questions like stat party on weapon, talking about the uniques, talking about all the skill gems, the level and quality order, skill trees. I have a level 80 skill tree, a level 90, like a level 95 skill tree, the ascendancy points, how it plays, quest rewards, all that. So do check this guide as well. It will probably answer a lot of your questions if I don't answer it in this video. So this video will mostly go over the ES Evasion Hybrid setup, but the pure evasion setup is pretty much just the same. The only thing that's different is that instead of using a pure ES helmet and an ES and evasion hybrid chest, you just use pure evasion helmet and pure evasion chest. And the skill tree is only slightly different, but you can just check it out down below, and yeah, you can see and easily follow along. So let's talk about the character. First, we'll go over items real quick. So the weapon. We have a Sea Glass Spear. Sea Glass Spear is the best base for this build. It has strength, dex, and intelligence requirements, which is quite a big downside. But the upside is you have 10% base crit, which is 3.5% more base critical strike chance than the next best base. So yeah, this is very, very strong. Make sure you get a Sea Glass Spear. Most importantly on the weapon, you want high accuracy because of your ascendancy, which I'll go over in a second. And you want critical strike damage bonus, critical strike chance, and any amount of flat damage you can get. You also do want to use an accuracy rune as well. So my weapon is actually not even that good. It's like a 2 or 3 mod spear, but despite that, it was still good enough to kill tier 4 Zesh. The weapon is extremely important. I do need a better one, but yeah, at baseline, you just want a very high accuracy and then crit damage or crit chance, and you'll be good to go. Next is the helmet and chest. So the helmet is pure energy shield, and an endgame version, the reason why you're pure energy shield is just, of course, stack your ES, so you're a lot more tanky, but also because of such a huge mask. So you get 2 evasion per 1 max ES. This means this helmet is giving you a ton of evasion and a ton of energy shield. So it's extremely nice to have. Then a hybrid evasion ES chest. Once again, having both evasion and energy shield makes your defense extremely nice in mapping, especially when coming out of Ghost Dance. It also does have good synergy here with Spectral Ward, which is pretty much giving you like 100 extra base ES as well. Now your helmet, you just want the highest ES plus, rarity or resist. On the chest, you want the highest evasion energy shield as well. I do have spirit. It's not mandatory, but it does allow you to run +1 aura, so that's why I have it. Resist on suffix or attributes like dex or intelligence are also good. Amulet, we have spirit, max ES and crit, resist, strength, whatever, intelligence, all nice stats as well. I have this written down in the guide. But yeah, the only thing I really need here is the energy shield and spirit. Nothing else really matters all that much. Once again, if you don't have enough spirit, I do go over what spirit gems you can take out. For my variant of the build, you need total 190 spirit, but you can go all the way down to 150 spirit if you can't get the spirit on chest or like spirit on amulet. Like Kosadai, this doubles your accuracy as far as using this shield. Accuracy is extremely important in this build, which I will go over in a second. The accuracy is a very high damage value stat for this build. This is why the shield is pretty much best in slot. Also extremely high block chance as well. For range, just on flat damage, accuracy can be good, life, rarity, resist. I go over this in the guide, but yeah, I have these on both of the rings. This ring is pretty good. It's only one bad affix, which is the accuracy. This ring is kind of mediocre because it has like cold damage. You want land damage instead, and increased cold damage, which does nothing. But they are good enough. Rings are pretty much the same for every single attack build. As for boots, you want either pure evasion, pure ES, or hybrid. Doesn't matter all that much. Just make sure you have like 35% movement speed with, resist, dex, or intelligence. On the hybrid setup, the build I'm running, you do need quite a bit of attributes, so you will need like dex or intelligence on like 1 or 2 pieces, because it's quite hard to meet all the stat requirements. On the pure evasion build, you don't need more than like 50 or 60 intelligence, so you don't really need dex or intelligence on your suffixes. Then we have Headhunter. Headhunter is not mandatory for the build. I just have it because it's nice for breaches. It's good for mapping, but you can use Ingenuity here, or a rare build with like Strength, Life, and Resist. And then Kitiko's Current. This is the only mandatory unique for my build. There are other Lightning Spear builds out there that don't use these gloves, but for my build, the way I built this character, these are mandatory. So if you're wondering, do I need these gloves to play your build? The answer is yes. There are other builds that don't use these, but yeah, for my build, you do need these gloves. Now I'll talk about why you need them in a second. Go to the passage tree real quick. It's essentially you're taking all the crit nodes, all the movement speed nodes, like escape velocity, acceleration, small movement speed here, right? As much movement speed nodes as possible as you can take, because you are quite slow in the end game, as PoE2 is a slower game. Then you come down here, you take a Falcon Dive. I'll talk about this in a second. Spear nodes, all the crit nodes, you scale crit extremely high with this build. Pick up Wildstorm, pick up Special Ward. Every single hybrid ES evasion node is extremely high value in this build, as you are scaling both. More crit nodes than the Monk Surf, once again, for more crit and hybrid evasion ES. That's the whole skill tree. The jewels, you just want like crit damage, attack damage, damage spears, stats like that are all pretty good. Critical hit chance, once again, all really good. One important wheel I want to talk about is this electrocute build-up wheel. So this wheel is very important for the build, so do make sure you take this, don't skip out on that. But yeah, you do need electrocute build-up. I did want to mention this, and I will say why you want this in a second. I'll quickly go over the ascendancy and talk about why accuracy is extremely important for this build. Yeah, we take Elemental Infusion, Predatory Instinct, Critical Strike, and Penetrate. The least important note here is probably Predatory Instinct. If you only have 3 laps done, you can skip out of this for now. Both Penetrate and Critical Strike and Infusion are extremely important for this build. Penetrate is not important if you don't have accuracy on your weapon, but you really should have accuracy on your weapon. So why is accuracy so important? The reason why is because of Critical Strike and Falcon Dive. So Falcon Dive gives increased attack speed per 250 accuracy, and then most importantly, Critical Strike makes your excess hit chance convert into base Critical Strike chance, which gives you an insane amount of Critical Strike chance. Now, the number in game is not actually proper. A lot of people think this number, 113%, that means you have 113% crit. This is wrong. This is not true. But do keep in mind, you're not reaching crit cap. Do not think you're reaching crit cap and take out crit nodes. You are not reaching crit cap that easily on this build. You have somewhere around like 70 to 75% critical strike chance, so crit nodes are still extremely high value. But yeah, essentially this node gives you around like 10 to 12% base crit, and we are stacking so much accuracy. I can only have 15,000 accuracy. Usually you want to be somewhere around like 15,000 to 20,000 accuracy. There is diminishing returns with this critical strike node, so it's not that important to have an insane amount of accuracy. So yeah, do it for like 15,000 plus and you should be good to go. And then penetrate is a big reason why we want accuracy on our weapon combined with critical strike. So not only do we get base crit from this accuracy roll right here, penetrate also makes 25% of accuracy on your weapon and only on your weapon be added as base physical damage to your attacks. So you get, roughly with accuracy on your weapon and accuracy on the rune slot, you're getting somewhere like 150 to like 170 base fizz damage, which is absolutely a ton of base fizz. Now we'll quickly go over all the skill gems. So first things first, an infused weapon. Once again, this is from your ascendancy. If you're wondering, okay, how do you get to a 6th link? This levels with your character. So at level 20, it will be a 6th link. So keep that in mind. You don't need all the support gems here. I have magnified and cognitive effect here. Honestly, these aren't even that great. I just didn't know what else to put in here, but we'll use this as a utility skill. So we have lightning exposure, very strong, blind, and strip away. Like I said, I have cog effect and magnified effect. There might be better supports, but this is what I'm using for now. Also, to quickly say, because I almost forgot, but you can also get a Tangled Tongue Fork Spear. This makes your critical hits essentially crit twice, or allow them crit twice, as in you can roll your crit, then you roll your crit again. If you crit twice, then they deal like triple damage. This is a nice budget weapon to start you off with. Now, I personally don't use it because it's a lot less damage for me, both on a tooltip and in-game practice. I chose on an in-game boss, and it was less damage than my current weapon, even though my current weapon isn't that good. But yeah, if you can't find a good spear, then just use a Tango Tongue. These are pretty cheap, like 20 exalts or something. But yeah, this can be a nice starter weapon as well. Keep in mind this rolls from 10 to 20 base crit, and you do want a higher base crit on here. It's very, very important. Don't use this weapon if it only has 10% base crit. It won't be that good. Next, we'll go to your main skill, and that is Lightning Spear. So Lightning Spear, talk about the most important support gem here is Volt. So what is Volt? Volt is this buff up here. When you attack, it consumes all your Volt charges. For every 10 charges you consume, you get +1 chain and damage as extra land damage. So 30 charges, you get extra land damage, and you get 3 chains to your Lightning Spear. This is how you get crazy screen wide, essentially screen explosions. So because of this, this also means you don't want to spam your attack. If you're spamming your attack, you're never going to build up Volt charges, and you're never going to get those insane screen wide clears. You're also not going to have enough frenzies to spam your attack. This is why attack speed is not that important for this build. Pretty much the only attack speed node you should have in your tree is just Falcon Die to make it a little bit more smooth. But besides this, you should not focus on attack speed anywhere else. So yeah, Volt's absolutely insane, and it's what really makes this build shine. It is probably the new best support gem, at least for Lightning Spear in this patch. Next is Twofold. So Twofold actually has 2 uses here. One is for your infused weapon, it'll make this double proc, and for your frenzies. Lightning Spear is a frenzy spender, so it'll also make your frenzies have double effect as well. Perpetual Charge, this leads to higher frenzy uptime and higher infused weapon uptime. Infused weapon is just passive, by the way. If you're wondering, you want to activate this, you'll just get infused weapon procs whenever you spend a frenzy charge, and you'll spend frenzies passively through Lightning Spear. Bullseye, I already talked about why accuracy is important, so you get more attack speed and more importantly, the critical hit chance from your ascendancy. Last gem, now this last gem depends. I'm using Fork because my damage is very high, but if your damage is not as high, then don't worry, you don't need to use Fork, you can use the Libertation instead. This gives you 20% more damage with no downside. So the downside here is 30% more move speed penalty while using supportive skills, but because we are using Roa here, that downside is not applied, so it should shoot up 20% more damage for free. On top of that, it also has no mana multiplier, so this also makes your Lightning Spear cost lower as well, where Fork does have a mana multiplier. I also have a Lightning Pen gem here for elemental maps as well. Swap this in if you don't like very high res maps, because they can be quite tanky if you don't have good gear. So I'll swap this gem in real quick if I'm doing a very high tanky map, otherwise I'm just doing a Fork. Now to talk about Roa mount, this gem is absolutely insane. It's new to the 0.2 patch. It's a companion and it is a mount as well. If you're wondering how do you get this mount, it is just a spirit gem and it does cost 60 spirit. So if you're wondering how to go off the mount as well, you just spacebar, click it to get back on. So I want to talk about everything about this Roa mount and why it's absolutely insane. So I talked about this earlier, but yeah, you cannot be slowed down while moving on your Roa mount. This means you can always spam your attacks and never be slowed down. Comparatively, if you're off your mount and you're attacking, you get slowed down quite heavily. And if you sit there and attack, you get very heavily slowed down. So even when you're just tapping your skill, you still get slowed down a little bit, right? And Roa completely negates that downside. But that's not all. The other upside of Roa is that you're completely light stun immune. You cannot be light stun on the Roa. You can only be heavy stunned. Heavy stun, how it works is this bar right here gets filled up, and when it gets filled up, you get stunned for 3 seconds, which sounds like a big downside, but it's very easy to avoid this as long as you pay attention. If this is like halfway filled up or 80% of the way, you just spacebar at your Roa mount and will instantly deplete, and you can instantly get back on your Roa mount with no issue whatsoever. It's at most like a 1 second downtime, and you're back to just blasting. So yeah, you're immune to light stuns on your Roa. You can be heavy stunned, but you can avoid it. It's not a big deal once you get used to it. It is a little bit annoying to look at the bottom left, so if you don't want to play Roa, you don't have to, but man, once you play a Roa, it's really hard not to play without it. It is just really, really great and insane for mapping. On the Roa mount, we have Meat Shield, Loyalty, and Minion Mastery. I'll talk about Storm Lance in a second. This is your single target. You have Combat Frenzy, so Combat Frenzy is how you generate frenzies. It's very important to have Profusion on here as well. With the quality on Combat Frenzy and Profusion, you have a 70% chance to gain 2 frenzy charges when you electrocute an enemy, and not 1. Then you have Precision as well. Once again, attack speed and critical strike chance from your ascendancy. So yeah, this is how we generate our frenzies, and it's why Kiddo Current is mandatory in my variant of the build, because if you don't have these, you're not pinned, so you won't have any way to generate frenzies. There are other subs called the Brotherhood or like 3 Dragons, but I do think these are vastly inferior because that ring slot is extremely good. Helmet slot is extremely important because of the ES, and your glove slot can be good, but I do think it's the least important. And Electrocute does have a major upside as well, but it's also a form of crowd control. I did try other setups without using these gloves, and they just weren't as good. I tried using stuff like Electrocute build up on Held of Thunder, or my main skill, Lightning Spear, but it just really wasn't as good. These gloves, in my opinion, at least for the time being, are irreplaceable. This is why the Electrocute build up wheel that I talked about earlier is very important. This will make you Electrocute a lot more often in maps and get you very, very high frenzy uptime. Held of Thunder, Innovate, extra damage from the procs, Reach for essentially free more area effects, and Long Shot for some extra damage. I can't really think of a good 5th or 6th link, but there probably is something you can get here. Maybe like Execute or something like that. Cypress Mark, this is for your single target, talk about in a second. But you have Inspiration, Arcane Tempo. Then you have Ghost Stance with Fast Forward. Fast Forward will make your Ghost Stance recharge faster, so it's nice here. Ghost Stance is only needed on the Hybrid Evasion ES setup, so if you had a pure Evasion setup, don't use this. And then Wind Dancer. Wind Dancer was heavily nerfed in 0.2, it's only 30% more evasion, and you lose all stacks on getting hit by anything and not just melee anymore. So this is a now optional support gem. You don't need to have this. As you can see in my character sheet, I go from 73% to I believe 78% with all Wind Dance charges. It is very good, like 5% evasion is not bad, but if you don't have the spirit, feel free to drop it. You can also drop precision as well. It's not too important, it's like 5% more damage. So yeah, if you only have 150 spirit, then you can just drop these two support gems. But if you want to use everything, then do keep in mind you need 190 spirit. But yeah, 150 spirit is fine as well. Now, most importantly, it's talk about the single target, and this is through Stormlance and through Sniper's Mark. So Sniper's Mark is how you generate your frenzies on single target because you can't, constantly electrocute enemies. So you will have to cast this. The rotation is 2 Stormlance, Sniper's Mark, 2 Stormlance, repeat, and that's your whole rotation for a single target. It's not extremely high. I'm at like 600 or 700k DPS, and this will get way higher with more gear. I can probably push like 1.5 million, probably even 2 million with like GG gear, which is not that bad for 0.2 standards, but it's definitely not as high as like the highest single target builds, but it's still good enough. It's still extremely good for 0.2 is what I would say. Keep in mind, I did do tier 4 Zedge on this build, so it's good enough to at least get your pinnacles done. I could probably do Arbor as well, although it will be a bit more challenged. I also did do tier 4 Kingdom Mist on this build as well. There are other options for single target. Some people use Promise Spirit. I personally tried Promise Spirit, being melee, having to go off your Roa, and having to do like some tech for like Shock Round. Personally, I didn't like it. It didn't feel that much better for me. I'm fighting like 5 or 10 million bosses, and personally Stormlance for me was the way to go. But you can try out other things as well. And I will be experimenting with other single target things as well. If I do find anything better, I will make an updated video on that. And of course, it will be in the mobile analytics links down below as well. We'll talk about Stormlance real quick. This is also another frenzy spender. So when you have a frenzy charge and you throw Stormlance, it will essentially instantly explode. If you don't have a frenzy charge, it will just pulsate and then it'll go away. But the frenzy charge is what makes the skill actually deal damage. This is why you do Sniper's Mark. Once again, it's 2 Stormlance, Sniper's Mark into 2 Stormlance, repeat. So we have Scattershot here. The reason why Scattershot is very, very strong is that it will consume 1 frenzy, but you still throw 3 spears, and all 3 spears get empowered. So you're pretty much doubling the effectiveness of a frenzy charge with Scattershot. Because of the 35% less damage, you're essentially doing 2 spears worth of damage with the Scattershot support. So very, very strong. Blindside gives you 50% more crit damage and 15% more critical hit chance. This is why we have Blind on our fused weapon. Also, Blind does reduce the evasion of enemies, and reducing the evasion of enemies is important because that means you'll have high accuracy versus enemies, which means higher critical strike chance. Then we have Primal Armaments, just more weapon damage, Lightning Infusion, more damage, and then Overextend. Overextend, once again, gives you 30% more critical damage bonus. Downside is you get Daze. Now, what does Daze do? So Daze makes you more likely to be stunned, but like I said, you are light stunning on your Roa, so this downside is completely negated on bosses. You will not be light stunned at all on a boss. So yeah, this is a very high, nice damage support that we can use. Because of the new 0.2 patch, we can effectively have 2 fully functional 6-links, which is quite nice and was quite hard to do in the previous patch. So yeah, that's pretty about it for my Lightning Spear, Roa, Riding character. Absolutely insane clear speed. Do play this build. It probably will be my most played build this league because it is just extremely insane for clear speed and also very, very fun and satisfying. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. But yeah, that's about it.